What's going on, guys? So I want to talk about Matthew 22:14, where it says, "Many are called, but few are chosen." So God, there's gonna be times where God calls us to do something, and we're disobedient, and we don't do what God wanted us to do out of fear, or out of rebellion, or whatever. Everybody is not going to answer the call. There's a lot of things God wants a lot of people to do, and everybody's not going to answer the call. Everybody's not going to be 100% obedient to everything that God tells them to do. I remember when I was going to West Point, I went to the West Point prep school back in 2015, and in my company, there were 3 companies, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie Company. And I ended up being in the same company as 3 Rangers. There was a guy in the 75th Ranger Regiment who did Ranger School and Airborne School, Air Assault School, Halo School. Like, he did almost every type of military school that you could think of. He went on 2 combat deployments, one with the infantry and one with the 75th Ranger Regiment. And he was so decorated, and he was only 23 years old. He actually had to get an age waiver just to come to West Point, because the cutoff age is 23 or something. I think he was 24. But anyway, God started speaking to me about him and showing me that he didn't believe in Jesus. He didn't know Jesus. And through circumstances and situations, it became evident that he really didn't understand Jesus. He didn't know Jesus. He wasn't a Christian. He wasn't saved. He wasn't a believer. A lot of people were intimidated by him, and I never forget. Like I remember when we were going through our cadet candidate basic training. I'm 18 years old, fresh out of high school, and this one guy, he's just looking at me. He's just staring at me from a distance. All of us are bald-headed because they shaved our heads. Everybody's just like, standing at attention or parade rest, and we got our weapons like around our neck with our harness. Our little weapon strap. And this guy just randomly, he keeps staring at me. He gets out of line. He walks up to me and he says, like I'm looking at him back. I'm like, what's this guy staring at? And he gets out of line and starts walking over towards me. And I'm just like, he's a cadet candidate like me. What is he doing getting out of line? Like, he could get yelled at. He walks up to me, and the first thing I notice on his shoulder is a Ranger tab. And it shocked me. I'm just like, wait a second, didn't you just get out of high school too? I had no idea that people like in the actual Army, like on active duty, could come to West Point. I thought it was just people straight out of high school. I didn't know. And from there forward, it was like he kind of was brought to my attention. And people started people were afraid of him. People, he was a nice guy. He was a cool dude. But people were intimidated by him because he was so decorated. He was so ambitious. He had the highest PT score in the entire school. He was all over the internet. And people were just intimidated by him. And he would always give me like this look. He would always kind of look at me like he was trying to figure me out. What I believe it was he could see Jesus in me. He could see the light of God on me. He just didn't understand what it was. But God started speaking to me, like I said, and telling me to minister to him. And I remember having a dream that God basically had somebody else to minister to him, but they were afraid to do it, so they never ever ministered to this guy. And he never learned about Jesus. So I made it my point to take all of the church notes that I wrote, all of the notes that I took when I was at church before I came to West Point, when I was in high school, and all of the knowledge that I knew, to write all of that stuff down, give a whole bunch of biblical evidence, and even like different things like buying the movie Passion of the Christ. I just made like a little package for him of getting to know Jesus. I put like an MP3 player in there. It was like a Sony Walkman with like 100 Christian songs, and I just really wanted him to know who Jesus Christ was. So I started doing like what God wanted me to do, like ministering to him about Jesus. And then I remember just leaving it on his desk, And eventually he came and talked to me about it, and I started telling him, yeah, like this is what God, wanted me to do. And he didn't understand, couldn't really comprehend like what I was talking about at the time. But as time went on, like I gave him like this cassette tape that I used to use, that my mom gave me when I used to get harassed by demons at my grandma's house when I was in high school. I brought that to West Point with me, and I let him borrow it. I didn't actually intend for him to like give it back. I wanted him to keep it, but he borrowed it, and he listened to some of those tapes where Pastor David Paul was doing prophetic prayers and praying against the enemy, and just I feel like it opened up the door to help him understand how to pray. And I answered that call. I wasn't afraid. It was intimidating a little bit, but I sucked it up, and I said, you know what? He's a person. He bleeds just like I bleed. I want him to know about Jesus, and I care more about him knowing about Jesus than me, saying, oh, this guy is super decorated or whatever. Like, I wanted him to know about Jesus, and I was going to answer that call one way or another. So this is my example of many are called, but few are chosen. Some people are called to do something, but they may not answer the call. Some people are called to do something, and they will answer the call. So God picks people to, if one person's not going to do it, another person will do it. Many are called, but few are chosen. So if God is telling you to do something, if God is calling you to do something, make sure you answer the call, because it could save somebody else. We have to take ourselves out of the equation and realize that it's not about us. It's about saving souls. It's about eternity. And hell is eternal, and heaven is eternal too. And without Jesus Christ, we will go to hell. So people who don't know Jesus, if God is telling us to minister to them, we need to be obedient and minister to them, because we may be the only encounter or the only person that's bold enough to actually do it. So I hope this blesses somebody. And if you're going through this type of thing where God's telling you to do something, I pray that you actually answer the call and be obedient and go out there and conquer what God has purpose for you to do. If you guys like my content, please like and leave a comment below and subscribe. And I pray that you guys have a blessed day. Thanks for watching.